What's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel. I'm Bill. This is Bev.
Hey guys.
Hence B Square. We're back at you with another video. We just basically wanted to take a second to catch up with you guys. In our last video, we had mentioned a couple things that we felt like were kind of dangling out there. So we just wanted to take this video and kind of walk through some of the challenges we have had in the past. Also to try to cover a couple more of these boxes on this purchase. The path to your new Caruso Home sheet.
We dusted off because it was one of the documents we showed you when we first started that we were going to try to follow all the different line items. However, these things were not being done in order, and so we pulled it out to kind of talk to you today in an effort to try to get us all caught up.
And also, man, they are really not. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. No, number 5 really happens right around number 3. So we started noticing that these things are not necessarily in the proper order. So we figured we've already showed you or talked to you guys about how we choose the model and home site. We showed you a video on that. I don't know if we talked in detail about structural options.
I think we'll talk about that today. We'll get them caught up on the structural options. We err, guys, because we probably weren't looking at the structure. We were just going with the flow and whatever. So I think we'll get you caught up on the structural options today.
Yeah, we can do that. And then talk about some of the, as we go through that, we're probably going to bounce around just a little bit. So bear with us, because if something comes into our mind as we're talking about this process, we'll speak to it. But so basically, when you show up in the model home, you choose the model. You say, okay, this is the one I like, and then they walk you out, they show you the home site, right?
Right, we did a video on that already.
Yeah, and then they take you, and you're supposed to sit down and go through your structural options so they can get an idea of basically where your house is going to land in terms of the price. During that process, you very quickly find out that some of the selections you might want to make, it gets real pricey real quick. Yeah,
it gets pricey real quick because I think they have what they determine what they call the standard options, and that's the cost that is included with the sale price. And anything that you do beyond that is considered an option, and of course there's additional costs for that.
Yeah, and there's different levels. So each time you change something or desire something different, the cost goes up immensely. Some people typically will try to focus on the structural things and then deal with the gingerbread items like your crown molding and your flooring and stuff like that. What we were trying to do was find a balance between the two, because there was some options that we just was like deal breakers for us if we weren't going to get those.
Right.
So I guess we'll start with the elevation, because we thought that we were going to go do everything like the model. Remember?
And I think we talked about that too I think we did do like the model selection. We did talk about selecting I guess the model home, and we learned quickly that comes very pricey. So we quickly went, well, what other options you have?
Because and then so we decided we're gonna go with elevation. That was like 23, I think.
Yeah, 23.
23 was the model home. Well, as soon as we sat down at the table, we found out that 23 was $54,000 bump up just for the brick on the front of it, on the front of the house changing.
We're like,
so it's like, wait a minute, we don't want that. So then we chose another elevation, and then we found out that lot 10 already had it, and in PG County, you can't have the same elevation to the house that's next to you.
Right, and of course I was a little salty. I mean, there's nothing that we can do, but of course I had to be salty, because I'm like, listen, we want to be able to buy a home and not have to pay for how the front of the house look. At least give us an option, even if one of the lot next to it already took an option where there's no cost. Then we should have been able to at least say, well, okay, we don't get lot this design X, we should be do Y. It's still at no cost. And then let's say, nah, we don't really like how that look. But in this case, all the other options had a premium cost, and I think for the one that we got, I think we paid like $700.
Yeah, and it was annoying though, because we were forced to pay that because the other person had already selected the option that we wanted.
Right.
So we kind of tabled that issue with Caruso, and they were like,
and then they could be like, okay, we'll pay it.
Yeah.
But we're glad. I have to tell you guys, I'm really happy that we got that. I think under these circumstances, money is always money, but I think that was money well spent, because I think what it did, it gives us a little bit more room as you walk in the door, because even though in this community where we live, all these houses are basically all Kingsport, which is interesting. So it's a neighborhood of Kingsport. I think there's just one or maybe two homes.
I think it's two homes that are not
Kingsport, but everybody else is Kingsport. And we used to snoop, y'all. We used to go in all the different homes, when they were under construction, because of course he come every day, basically to see what's going on. And so I think what happened, we got a little bit more room as you walk in the foyer. So I think we're really happy with that. Still happy with spending the money, but I think we're happy with the outcome of it.
But also another thing that we were glad about is when you come down the private, since you come off the cul-de-sac at the top of the hill, you turn onto the private driveway that leads down to our home, is that even though all of the houses are the same model, they don't look alike.
They look different. They look
completely different.
They look completely different. But the inside of the house, I guess, structurally, it is the same. I think it changes a little bit with the selection that each homeowner chose, because they may want this, they may not want that. So I think the inside may shift a little bit, but I think structurally from the house layout, I think it's basically
it's pretty standard.
It's pretty standard.
The elevation might change your front rooms by a foot or two, depending on which elevation you pick.
If it has a bump out, right?
Yeah.
Some of the elevations, the front of the house is
just flat,
and then some of them has like a little bump out, so you might get a little bit more space. Which
and
I
then
think
some of them went across, and this window split, so it was split, and one window was here and the other window was back here. So we didn't like that, because that actually ran right upstairs into the bedrooms too.
Yeah, where there's like a bump out in each of the bedrooms.
So it's like it throws the floor of the bedroom up. So we didn't like that.
But it's interesting about having the opportunity to really go into the homes, a lot of the homes, to really see the different choices and how it all come together in terms of just individual taste and what their desired family needs are. So it was really interesting. So I think we paid that additional $9,000 to get the elevation that we want, and we were happy with that.
We had to select the brick.
So
I figured we would stay outside since we were on this front of the house. I figured we were going to deal with the front of the house. Then we had to pay for the brick. So now we're down there trying to select brick and the layout and the.
Well, let me back up a second and tell these people something, because I think, just so you guys will know, and I don't know if I said it on one of the earlier videos, but the reason that we decided to actually started this channel and talk about our experience, one day we were sitting around and we were starting to go through a lot of the back and forth with the buyers about the structures and our selections, and having the worst selection process in my home buying experience. We're sitting one night watching TV, and there's a commercial came on, and the commercial was a Caruso commercial. I don't know if it was a TV or a YouTube.
It was YouTube.
It was a YouTube channel, and they're talking about hi, my selections is so good. And we go to the design center and they show you a huge warehouse design center that is perfectly laid out.
Had the tiling selections on this side.
And they put together like little vignettes of cover. This is your standard. And then if you want options, you go here. And then these couple are sitting on the couch like we are and they're kissing. And they're talking about, I was like, whoa, wait, rewind.
And they're telling you which person is responsible for tile and flooring, and the one is responsible for the tile in the bathroom. And we're sitting there like, what?
Not true. Not our experience.
No.
So we went downstairs to the basement of the model home. Now, when we went downstairs to the basement of the model home, it's a room that they designed for options. Number one, a lot of the standard options were not there.
The options that they had there were worn out. You couldn't really tell the real colors. Or,
exactly.
You know.
Things are missing. So they, Barry told us that, you know, people walk away with their samples, but I'm like, this is your business. Yes, people walk away with stuff. You do an inventory check and you replace them because tomorrow new people are coming to make selections, but I digress. So we did not like the selection process. There was not a lot of choices in terms of the standard options for the countertop. There were like, I want to say 4 options. All of them are ugly. And I shouldn't say ugly because I know
all of them didn't meet your specifications.
I didn't like them. Let me say that I didn't like them because
a lot of people went with
them. So I should say that. I pulled that back. But I didn't like none of them, and I was a little disheartened because I'm like, here we buying one of Caruso's signature home, the Kingsport model that's supposed to be, you know, one of their best-selling homes, and the experience supposed to be so nice, and the options were terrible. There was and I wanted white. I wanted to go with white countertop, so I was looking.
No, didn't have it.
The white that they had was an off-white, and it had speckles and sparkles in it. Then they had the gray that looked like the concrete granite, like the dark circle, and then they had like a beige. So those were your options, your standard options. But lo and behold, we found out that there were more options. So when we found out, I think we looked at the back of the tile and we saw who they had a stamp.
Yeah, they had a stamp
for the company.
So
we called them.
Let's call them.
And we called them and we went over there. When we first went over, they told us that we couldn't without an appointment, and they needed Caruso to authorize it. So we called Barry. How do we refer to Barry? He's our sales manager?
Yeah.
Our sales manager. And we're like, listen, Barry, because downstairs you guys did not provide us with what we need. So we made the appointment. I said, can you call them and let them know we're coming over? And they did. And so we went over and met with the guy, and he was very nice. He walked us around. But lo and behold, there's a whole lot of different other standard choices over there. And I'm like...
And he was telling us, oh, this is your standard. This one fits in the category for your standard. This will be an upgrade 2. This will be an upgrade 3.
But I tell you, a whole lot more than what was downstairs. There was 4 options. And I thought that was a little disheartening because if we didn't bombard our way into there. So we went over and we saw, you know, we were like I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. So now we're like, okay, we want to go make selections. So we wrote down, take pictures and stuff, went back. And so now we want to finalize this stuff and we want to go back. Caruso shut it down. We could not get back in to see Artilli at all. We called, we emailed, we're like, listen, this is what we need to do. They're like, no, we called the guy and he was like so scared.
Can't talk to you guys.
And I mean, I understand
because
from
it's
his
their
business. Yeah. But I think for us, it was kind of like, we need that experience that you guys advertise. And I think I even wrote them an email and said exactly that. I said, you guys have advertising that says that you have this lovely experience, and we're not. We're faced with selecting. Yeah.
It was not lovely. And then what we found out is as we're looking at the brick and the stone, we wanted to go with a stone, the gray stone. Then
that was not available. So,
but it's down there on the wall.
So one of the standard stone that we wouldn't have to pay an upgrade.
We liked it.
We liked it. We're like, we're gonna go with this. Oh, we can't have that because it was discontinued. So guess what? Now we have to pay for an upgrade for a stone. And so I just pulled this out. I'll tell you what the stone cost for our home, which it was crazy. So, I just had
Now, as she tells you the price, what we were going to tell you about is a couple of things that will change the stone cost on a house. So it's one thing that we added to our house that made our stone cost go up, because we extended the master bedroom out. Excuse me, it leveled the front of the house, so they had to bring stone all the way up the front of the house, so they added money for that. I think that was $6,000 or something in stone. And then if you bump the garage out, it adds stone to the side of the house as you go out the door, the front door. It extends all the stone there, as well as add windows. So like you can't even do like you're thinking you're gonna do something like add an additional garage, and you're thinking, oh, the garage is only $25,000, but no, you have to calculate in what it would be for the brick, or whatever
Right.
brick you pick, as well as calculating for the extension on the master bedroom.
Well, my little pea brain couldn't comprehend. Eventually, I had to, we had to accept what it is. But for a long time, I was struggling to really understand why. Not that I don't see it and understand the numbers. I was like, this makes no sense, because I felt like it's a way for builders to nickel and dime their customers. So I'm gonna give you guys price. So the elevation we already told you about. So the elevation to get
That was elevation 6.
Elevation 6, to get elevation 6 home, we paid $9,700. So in order to get the stone front for the house, the original charge was $20,000, $20,400, just to stone the front of the house. And then because we wanted a side load garage instead of a front load garage for the stone, remember these prices I'm giving you are only for the stone. So it's $3,200 for
because we moved the garage doors from the front of the house to the side of the house.
And then because we extended the master bedroom, which makes no sense to me, y'all, because we extend the master bedroom, we end up paying $6,300. That's the one that was getting me, because whether or not the bedroom was here or here, the front of the house is still the same height. And so, but because we bring it out, they're not adding stone to the side of the house to say, well, okay, since you extend the house this way, that there's additional, stone you have to put. There's just siding on the side of the house. But just because we extended the master bedroom out, now you have to pay an additional $6,300 just to get the stone to the front of the house.
Because what happened, the roof line no longer comes straight down. When we extended the bedroom out, it shortened the roof line to come down to here, and it built a wall here. Then they put windows across there, and then they do all the brick around the windows and everything.
It's nice though. After you get over yourself,
oh yeah,
it's nice.
But it kills you, because you're thinking that the addition to bump it out is $20,000.
And shouldn't that include the cost for material? But it doesn't. So the cost I just guys give you. So remember, that cost I just give you is only for the stone, because there's an additional cost
for the bump out.
For the actual bump out.
It's an additional cost for the side load.
So for the extension for the master bedroom was like $20,000. And that does not include the $6,300 for stone. So you see how quickly the cost can be adding just because you want certain things in your home. I have to say that I understand and I get it, but I think, and this is, you're gonna hear me saying this, I guess, along the way, is like, I think with Caruso, when they're selling their home, as especially a fixture, certain things should just come with it. Yeah,
if you have a signature product, you would think certain things would come with it, because, and this is a sidebar, so I'm just going to say this real quickly. We had 9-foot ceilings on every floor in this house, but they were only giving us 3.5-inch baseboards. But the option was like $2,000, you get 5-inch baseboards. So I'm like, for $2,000, why is that not just added in? Because the thicker the baseboard, it fits better with the high ceilings. So you were thinking, I'm buying this nice home. Why won't they, some things in a signature home should just be their stamp?
Well, and it's not only that, it's other little things, right? Because I bought a Ryan home. It was a townhome about, I don't know, 7 years ago or so. And certain things just come with the home, like certain little upgrade that you know, it modernized the home a little bit, like the light switch, the flip light switch instead of the toggle light switch, the baseboard. And then the thing is, you're walking into the model home and it's not clear what the options are versus what you're paying for, because you look in and you're like, okay, well tell me, because I'm like, well tell me in here what are the options. So that's where I started with our sales manager. You point out to me what all of the upgrades are, because you know, you walk in the model home, they upgraded with everything. So I wanted to get an idea what was upgraded, and we never talked about the baseboard. So we found out about that
at pre-construction,
where they're telling us we have to pay $500 for.
But only because the construction manager was like, oh, y'all not getting the 5-inch baseboards. We were like,
what? We getting them.
We were like, we didn't know that they were. So the key takeaway, what we're going to probably tell you, that's going to sing out through this whole process as we're talking, is read everything. I mean, with the brick front, we were sitting home and Beverly's like, wait a minute. She's reading through the brochure, the little brochure that they give out with the house for the Magnolia Code.
It's part of your sales package.
Yeah. And it says right on the pack, right on there,
free brick front.
Free brick front.
So I'm like, whoa, wait, get the paper out. We got stone, just for the stone, we paid $20,000 for it. So I'm like, all right.
So what's the difference?
What is the difference between
the standard brick front for this elevation? How much would it be for the price of the brick? And then how come we didn't get a credit for it?
Right. So that was a little contention of mine. Ended up writing an email. They did come back and offer us a credit, so that was good. So that was one of the items that we kind of had to go back and forth a little bit, but they quickly took care of that and said yes, they're going to honor it, and they definitely gave us the credit for that, which was good. So which, you know, proves to Bill's point, you have to read, make sure you read.
And that was
one of the things we didn't do. Is actually read all of the
option stuff.
Yeah.
We just didn't know. We were thinking that as we went through the process, he was telling us what the options were. And what we found out is that one of the interesting things that got me, and it just bothered me, was that our salesperson would make decisions for you that he thought you could do later. For example, nobody in the community has a lamp post outside of that house. And we found out that that was an option. And
this was later. So I was reading through one of the brochure and it said something about landscaping package. I'm like, oh wait, landscaping package?
Or lighting package or something
like that. I said, what do we get? So he explained that all you get is the light outside the home. I'm like, well, wait a minute. The model home has a lamp right there. Why can't we get one right there? Oh, that's an upgrade. And I was like, well, what?
And it was an upgrade. It was an upgrade that was $700, which is worth it.
Because now you got to go pay somebody to kind of put that in, which is a headache. So, but all in all, I think going through the process of the selection, like I said, it was, you know, like a kid in the candy store until the price started going up and up and up, and then you start making like real life decisions of, do you really think you like that? Do you really need that? And so we start like being very practical in our approach in terms of things that we really want and not going to negotiate on, and then things that we're going to add in. So we went with the things that we really want.
So our big structural, we moved from the front of the house to the family room. We knew out the gate we were getting family room, and we knew we were getting the addition on the morning room. They were structural options that we were getting, and we knew we were getting the family room to look just like the model. And that coffer ceiling and the windows, that was an option.
And we showed that in the last video. The thing too, again, and you guys probably gonna hear me saying this over and over with, so again, the Kingsport model of their home, you walk into the motorhome and you think that, oh, this is what you get as a Kingsport, but no, everything is an upgrade. So the family room comes just standard, and they have the window package, that comes standard. But in order to get the look of the model home, there are 2 upgrades. Yeah. There was an extension, like a 5-foot extension.
Well, it was a 2-foot and then a 3-foot. So you got a 2-foot that you could do.
2? I thought they
it was 2 first. You do the 2-foot, and then it's like a 3-foot, or it's 3 or 2, one of the 2. But to get the bay look, you pay for another part of an extension to give you, that gives you the
but I think that's how they just said that's a total 5. Yeah. So it's like a 5.
It's like a total of 5. Yeah. It's either 2 and 5, 2 and 3, or 3 and 2. But that's how you get to the bay windows, by adding both of them.
So you can pay for the extension, right? But you still have the standard windows,
right?
And then you can pay for the window package to get it to look like the model,
which is nice.
Which is the bay and the window.
So you have the standard bump out, which is nice, and you can get the windows without the bay.
It's nice windows without the bay.
Without the bay, but then there's another bump out that you get that gives you the bay, which is what we wanted. As well as
the model.
Yeah, as well as that window they have on the side, which was an additional $700.
Right, but we put that in there, and our sales manager did point that to us, and that was a good buy for us, because he's like, you guys gonna really need a window there, because if you come in the room and you want to look down to where
your walkout is, or where your steps are that lead into your basement, that window provides you a quick look.
And it does, it really does. So I think we took that. We also took the coffer ceiling, as you guys saw in our last video. We wanted, and so we walked into the home one day, and there are these big boxes that you can see from the construction that it's not, how many, 16 boxes we're getting?
Yeah. There's 2 things with this though. There's 2 things. This was in the last video. We talked about the mistake they made with the coffer ceiling. But again, we sat with our sales manager and we told him we wanted the coffer ceiling right out the gate from day one. We got all the way almost to pre-construction, and we were talking to him about the lights in the ceiling, and he said, oh, y'all want the coffer ceiling?
No, but I said initially, right? So I said, this is my approach. What would it cost for us to get this? I want exactly this, because I didn't want any discrepancy in terms of, oh, you didn't specify this, or I said what it would cost to get this. I want this exact look, and he told us what it was going to cost, and I was like, good.
Okay, do that. We want that in our paperwork.
The question, well, how much it's going to cost to get the, exactly as it is in the model home, and he told us what that's going to be.
And he told us he told us it was in our stuff, and then
so he wrote it. But even before then, babe, we went into one of the homes and we saw them building those big boxes. We went back to him. I'm like, hey, Barry, I noticed in house whatever that the
16 boxes are not
big. He's like, no, don't worry. They're gonna they know what they have, and they're gonna.
We told him contact. Our construction manager was Clay. We told him, let Clay know we do not want a mistake on the ceiling. We want 16 boxes.
Because we're trying to save them from having to do it and do it over. No, don't worry about it. It's in the in your plan. They follow the plan. They're gonna build it. We walk in here one day and it's the same boxes.
Now, so two things. One, it wasn't in the plan. It's not in the plan. The only thing it says in the plan,
but in our
coffer ceiling. It says coffer ceiling. But in the actual pre-construction documents, they do not have an image of the coffer ceiling. The only thing that they have, that's how come we keep saying, that's how come we say read everything. Because the only document that they have the coffer ceiling in with the boxes is the one that they hand out to everybody with just the brochure that tells you about the house. So the coffer ceiling doesn't look the same on the pre-construction drawings. They don't put it on the pre-construction drawings, but in the brochure they put it in there. And the other mistake we made is thinking that the workers have been to the model home. Them jokers haven't been to the model home. They don't know nothing about the model home.
Well, it's not even that whether or not they've gone to the model home. In my case, it's like this house. They're building this house. Caruso was building the Kingsport for years, because I think when I was looking for a home, when I mentioned 6-7 years ago, they were already building the Kingsport house. So this is not a new model for them. So you would think they would know, but what like Bill was saying, since I guess it's not on the drawing, the construction managers just do whatever they want, and I'm sure I guess the homeowners probably
just be like,
okay,
it looks nice.
I don't know,
because it does. It looks nice. It still looks nice.
But I was like, I want what we paid for, because of course there's a cost for that. I said I told him specifically, I want that, and that's what we needed to get. So they did come back and they changed it. Now let me tell you guys, this was on the heel of them even messing up the bump out from the structural. And if you saw
the video,
we came
they didn't even give us the
day.
Bump out.
They didn't. They poured or conditioner or whatever they were doing.
What they did, they framed out the foundation, and they didn't even include the bump out. And then when we called them, they was like, oh, no.
Yeah, very nonchalantly.
And we sent them pictures, and they was like, oh.
Oh, yes. And then they had that.
And then he told us we saved them having to tear the whole foundation up and start over.
Now remember this, because you're going to hear us talk about some other little concession that we were trying to make them made, and we kind of were watching them and helping them along the way with this whole big process with all their errors and mistake. But when we come to them and say, hey, we need you to eliminate this, then they're like, there's a cost to do it, and they're like, but can you give us concession, give and take? They're like, no, but we'll talk about that.
And so they had to go back and basically, man, they had to tear the ceiling up and measure it all out and do it all again.
Well, I was even a little picky, because I was looking at the, and I know this is picky, y'all, but I was looking at the windows, and I was like, well, the windows on this house is not as high as the windows on the, so the windows, I'm like, babe, the windows on this house doesn't look as high. I think on the other house there's not as much space from the ceiling to the top, and the windows were a little higher, and we were talking about that, and of course he's like, you're nitpicking, whatever.
Well, but the thing that was interesting, I go to the drawings. So I went to the drawings, and I was like, it turned out that the drawings,
they made a mistake though.
They made a mistake on the model.
And the model.
The model was different than our drawings.
Well,
so they were right in here, but then what they messed up in here was the roof line.
I don't know if they were right in here, because the problem they had when they started to insert the windows. So on the bay window, you guys going to see on the bay window, there's like a little fan window that sits there. They couldn't install the fan window because the roof line for the bump out for the morning room was sitting right in the middle of
but the problem that they did with that, they didn't, when they put it up, they don't like let the cutout. They saved the cutout piece, so whoever was doing the roof actually came across and attached the roof line to the front of the little window that was supposed to be there. So they actually had to cut that off and make the roof line come straight off, because they actually brought the roof line across and blocked it from being able to insert the window.
So you guys gonna see in our window, the window was just sitting there for a little bit until they come and fix the I guess they had to cut the roof line of the window off. So,
and they waited all the way to pre-drywall
before they even put it in. And I guess they kind of rushed into it, because I guess the inspectors were coming and they had to have all the windows in and doors in. And you probably saw from one of our video before, the front door was boarded, because it took a while for them to even get the door, and that was fine with me. We didn't have an issue
because they have to have the door on and have to have it covered, or the inspector won't let them continue to work in the house.
So all in all, that was those are the big things the other thing was the window. So in the room we're sitting, there's a window, but it's kind of shifted a little bit. If you're facing the wall, it shifted a little bit to the left. So when we were going through the selection process, we asked how many windows, because I think the model has the 2 windows. And I said, we get this, and our salesman says yeah. So we walk away thinking we're getting 2 windows in this room, but again, snooping in somebody's house, once we realized that it was only one window, so we went back to him. I know they were sick of us. We went back to him and says, hey, are we getting window? No, it's only one window. If you want the second window, it's an option. So of course we went to the blueprint, looking, lo and behold, it's an optional window. We were considering getting it and whatever, and we ended up not getting it.
Only because they said they had got, basically, y'all, they got tired of us.
I know.
Because he said, man, we've already ordered everything. We don't want to order, then we have to change the drawings. We already sent the drawings down to PG County.
We're like, all right, we'll live with it.
We'll let it ride.
We'll get more wall space to hang pictures on there. And it's actually okay. We don't have an issue with that.
So I guess the structural stuff.
That's about it.
Yeah, so the structural thing in the bedroom is one thing that happened in the bedroom. I guess we might as well talk about that. So we got the bump out. We got the bump out that's extended to the front of the bedroom, the front of the room, which is to the front of the house. Out, I forgot how many feet, like 8 feet or something. And we also like what we saw in the model home. We like the
knee wall.
The knee wall with the columns. So we come down here. And I'm looking at the drawing, so they put the knee wall in, and the knee wall was kind of off center with the other window. So we just asked them, could they move the knee wall over a couple inches so that it would be centered up, and that we would be able to hang the curtains and the knee wall. They wouldn't hit up against the knee wall. Next thing we know,
they move it over.
They move it over 82 inches instead of 8 feet 2 inches. Now we're thinking, is anybody, or I'm thinking, because Bev wasn't worried about drawings, I'm looking at the drawings thinking, why isn't somebody looking at the drawings? Because you can see where the knee wall should begin just looking at the drawings. So they put this little piece of paper up there to show something where they scribbled on the wall. And then I went up there and wrote something saying this is wrong. Then when they moved it to 82 inches, then I went on the thing and I wrote, and nobody stops to pause to say, if we move this thing this far over, they won't be able to fit a sofa over here. I'm thinking, don't.
So we called. I actually called our sales manager. I'm like, listen, I don't know what's happening, but you guys are about to tear something down if you guys don't fix this right away. Because we know that that knee wall is close to the wall, and we have a sofa that we're planning, not a sofa, what is that called? Sofa, right? Sofa.
Yeah, sofa.
To put in that corner, and it's not going to fit. We want it to look exactly the way the model home looks. And he assured us that it was the right. We waited, come back, it is still sitting there. So,
and then they finally move it. First we waited, then they moved it, then they moved it wrong. Then we called and told them it's not, they had right on the floor 82 inches when it was supposed to be 8 feet 2 inches.
So we took pictures, y'all. We took pictures and measurement. I'm like, it's 8. So I guess between this, I guess it got lost in translation. Somebody was probably saying 8 feet 2 inches, and they
somebody
were
heard
82 inches. So, and I think they called, which is interesting. I think they called the sales manager to ask them how far it should be, and maybe that's where it got lost in construction. And I'm like, you're gonna call the sales manager to go measure? Why? Anyway, it got fixed, and we were happy with that. In terms of other options, we went with upgrade on the
Well, I guess we could transition to
the regular
and to the one thing was the big thing was the kitchen. So the one option we didn't like that they had in the kitchen was the desk, and we wanted to put a wine cooler in that. So we asked them to change the desk and raise the countertop up, and just make it go straight across and make space for the wine cooler. Well, they said, okay, we're not a custom builder, we're a production builder, so we have to charge you for that.
They charged us, I want to say $700 to do that, to eliminate the desk and just to make it straight across. So we're like,
which means
fine.
one little cabinet. They did that, and then the other option we did in the kitchen, because we didn't like how the cabinets went across and went over top of the refrigerator. We wanted them to bump the cabinet out over the refrigerator to the face of the refrigerator so we could actually use it, one. Two, we wanted them to put a wall piece down next to the refrigerator so we wouldn't be looking at the back of the refrigerator. So they did that option. First they told us no. that the refrigerator won't be able to breathe.
Yes, thing was they told us the refrigerator cannot breathe, and the what we were asking for was in the home. Because the way the cabinet that sits over the refrigerator, the way that they were putting it in their home,
standard cabinet.
It was a standard cabinet, so it sits really
way back up against the wall.
Into the wall, and we would like to have a cabinet that protrudes a little bit better. So it's going to be a deeper cabinet, and then put the I don't know what's called that.
It's a panel. I guess you would say fascia or something like that. So we had them put that along the side of the refrigerator. And then also on this side, they put a nice little fascia around. So basically the refrigerator is framed out and the cabinet is over top. And I think they only charged us $900 for that.
Yeah, whatever it was they charged us, we had to pay to get them to do that. At first there was like, no, they can't do it because the refrigerator got to breathe, and then our sales manager was like, well, I live in a Caruso Home, and I was like, listen, we need this and we got to have it. So eventually we were able to add that as an option, which was good. Mm-hmm. So we're happy with the outcome of that.
And then we were with the other structural thing that was a problem, because we were feeling like, since Caruso was charging us for every little thing, like for us to do the columns in the bedroom, the ones we were just talking about, it was like they told us the first price was $900. Then they came back, it was $1,500. Then while we're sitting at the table, get ready to sign our documents.
Like $20-something, $100, something ridiculous.
Because number 3 is after you go through all this. We were at number 3. We were going to sign our purchase agreement. So they went up to like $2,400. So I'm sitting there and I'm like completely frustrated. So I look at Bad and I look at Barry, our sales manager, and I'm like, Barry, are we making the bad decision going with Caruso? I said, because you guys
seems like everything was nickel and dime.
Yeah, I was like, are we sitting here going back and forth over a couple $100? And I looked at him.
Let me put it in context before you move forward, because this comes on the heel of us. Okay, so when you get the bump out in the master bedroom, it comes with a closet. So think about the front of the house, there's a closet to the side. We didn't want...
But with that closet, you have to put up sheetrock, you have to put electrical in there for lighting, switch. You got to do all of that.
It's a closet.
It's a closet, carpet in the closet, all of that. And we were thinking, we don't want the closet. We don't
want the closet. We just want it open. We want a knee wall because we're going to put a
columns on and all of that, yeah.
So we didn't want it. So we asked them to eliminate that.
And they told us they wouldn't give us no credit for it.
They said they won't give. So we're like, wait a minute, we're getting the column. There should be some offset for the cost of the closet and the cost for the knee wall. So we went back and forth with them with that. So that's coming on the heels with them. And I mean, talking to one of the, I don't even know who the lady is, regional people. Yeah. Trading email. She was not the nicest person. She tries to be nice but come off very condescending. So the thing I felt, I have to say this. Let me just say this. What I felt is that this whole buying process, dealing with them and the regional people, they make it seem like they're doing us a favor, and then every time we ask them to do something or not do something, it feels like we're looking for a handout. And I had to say a couple of times in email to them, we're not asking for any favor. We have gone through our process and agreed to pay the cost that you have provided to us. We either took it or we didn't. We said, now we're not going to spend the money for that, or yes, we're going to spend the money. But when we're asking for things like eliminating the closet and the cost associated with that versus you putting in a knee wall, there should be an offset for that. And because we're asking for that, they're coming back to us seeming like we're asking for a handout. And that's why she was like, well, we're not a
custom builder.
We're not a custom builder.
We're a production
builder in this house. I'm like, listen, lady, I'm not asking for any handout. I'm just asking a practical question in terms of there's a cost associated with you building a closet and there's a cost associated with you building a knee wall. If there's a difference in cost, it doesn't matter if you're a custom builder or whatever builder. It's simple customer service and the cost associated with what Caruso profit line is going to be and what money you're taking from us. So I was a little ticked off by that. But we finally got through it.
I got up from the table by this time. I'm just like, you know what? I look at Beverly. We're supposed to be at the place, get ready to sign our little purchase agreement.
Yeah, we came. So let me tell them about you. So this is the funny part. So we've gone through back and forth. So you guys heard us rambling about all the stuff going back and forth. And we're hot. So every time they're going on, we're fighting with them about something, emails, and then we'll send emails and sit and wait, and then they'll respond and say, oh, the email didn't make it to my inbox or some reason. And then so we're coming on the heels of all this back and forth, and this is right when we wrote them an email with about 6 things.
Oh no, this was before that. This little piece right here was
because
before.
when we were going in,
this was when we were going. This was when we were. She's talking about something we're gonna still talk about, but this was like we were going to sign a purchase agreement, and then we were going to go from that to dealing with the finance.
Okay. So we're sitting in there, and then it's like we talk about one price. They tell us what it's gonna cost for the knee wall, and then they raise the price.
Then the phone rings, and then it's another price. Then the phone rings, and it's another price. And
we're literally sitting in this office, and I'm like, it was a difference of what, $400 or $500 or something like that.
Yeah, it ended up being about. It went from $900 to $2,500, like in a couple minutes.
And I'm like. Where in the world Caruso customer service, this happy buy experience is so lovely, and we put our customer first, and you're gonna have a great experience if you buy with us and stuff. I'm like, where is that? Because you quoted us a price already, and you already increased the price, and we're like, okay, so now you're gonna tell me because the price of wood or whatever gone up. We're sitting in the chair right now, and you're saying that the price has gone up. And all this got delayed because we were going back and forth with them anyway about a lot of other stuff.
So we're sitting in our sales rep Barry's office, and I look at Barry after he told me the price change the second or third time. I said, you know what? I looked at him and I said, I need a minute, cause now and I looked at Bev. I said, I need a minute. I got up and I walked out the door. I walked completely out the house.
That's me sitting in the office. I'm sitting there with Barry, and I'm like, Barry, look, what it would take.
You watch my head go right.
Yeah, but hold on. So I'm sitting there talking to Barry. I'm like, Barry, what would it take to get out of this agreement? Because I'm tired. I'm tired of all the things we're dealing with, and this right here.
This was like day 3. This wasn't even. We weren't even like into like finances or nothing.
I was like, I'm tired. So I'm sitting there, and the way the office sits, there's windows right there, and I'm looking at. I see this man here just falling outside the window. I said, Lord, we're about to lose this house. I'm here threatening Barry, but I don't really want to lose the house. And then he went walking all the way around the house. I was like, so I sat there quiet.
I had to go pray for a minute. I was like, I had to go talk to the Lord. I was like, Lord, look, I had to tell God, this is becoming real frustrating for me. And I know that typically things get a little rough when we're about to step over into our blessing. I said, so God, give me grace right now. Because when I go back in here, he needs to tell me something good.
So the funny thing is that the lady that we've been going back and forth with some other stuff had just sent us an email that day about not being able to give us credits for a laundry list of things we'll go over with you, and then sitting in this room. So I said, call whomever you gotta call. We'll talk to whomever you gotta talk to. I said, put them on the phone. So Barry picked up the phone and called her, and she responded right back, and she said, go ahead and honor the price.
She said no. If you told her one thing.
Look at Nicole.
She said if you told him one thing, you can't be going back and forth with them like that.
Yeah,
and my blood pressure came down.
I was like, all right, what else we got? So that was interesting.
And we signed after that. We signed.
I think we were signing off, but on the final.
Before we went to pre-construction.
Yeah, because I think we met with.
We met with Clay
that same day. So we need to catch you guys up what was going on about the other. So that was the structural things, right? But the other options that we chose in the home.
The one option, the one big thing that we went back and forth on was here we are in this house. We spending a lot of money for the house, and we selected option 2, the gourmet kitchen.
Right, so Maytag. So what they had offered as options were the Maytag line. Well, I don't even remember what the
option 1 was just like, we don't want those
basic.
appliances.
Right. So we upgrade to level 2.
So we get Maytag.
Maytag. All of our appliance was going to be Maytag. We were happy with what we're getting. That's, we paid. I think we paid for the kitchen upgrade. Oh, gosh, I don't remember, but go ahead, babe.
So while we're getting through this process, they sent us an email saying that they're having a problem getting appliances.
Was $18.90. We paid to upgrade to level 2.
Yeah.
Maytag.
So we were like, wait a minute. We were supposed to get Maytag appliances. And then they went to, well, we're going to give you a comparable appliance that's going to be Whirlpool. We said, that's not what we want.
And they sent us a little brochure with what we're getting, this crossed out, and mix match appliances.
Yeah, you might get Bosch refrigerator.
No, what they initially sent us was Whirlpool.
Yeah, it was Whirlpool, and then after the Whirlpool, they told us
it could be
later
Bosch.
It could be Bosch, the dishwasher could be Bosch, and the countertop could be this. And we were like, absolutely not.
Under no circumstances we're putting any type of mismatch appliances in our home. And of course, I wrote them an email. I was like, this is unacceptable. I said, I know contractually you guys made a sign that says that you're within your right to make changes, and we get it. I said, but if you're replacing it, you're not just going to hand us something and you said it's the comparable model, because we went searching. We went to the internet. We went
to Home Depot. We went to Lowe's, everywhere.
We were online. We were looking at appliances, looking at the features, everything that we were going to get, and so they were like, "Well, this is what you're going to get." We're like, "We're not taking it."
And then they wouldn't even give us a credit for the appliances we didn't want to upgrade to the KitchenAid.
Right. So we were asking them, I'm like, listen, now you guys are forcing us to upgrade to even a higher level, which is in order to get the KitchenAid, we got to upgrade to level 3.
Which took us 8, 10.
Now that's like $9,000 to get to the upgrade. So I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You guys are forcing us to upgrade. At least there should be some concession for that. Where's my customer service, Caruso? No. And this is again talking to them about it, coming off very condescending, like we're asking for handout. And I'm like, listen, lady, we're not asking for any handout. We are talking about Caruso Promise. You said it in your brochure. You said it in your published.
And all that published documents that say when you go to level 2 kitchen, you get Maytag appliances.
So it forced us to go. So we were waiting. And weeks were going by. I would email. We wouldn't hear. Weeks are going by. Now
they broke ground. Then they started building. Mm-hmm. Next thing we know, they're framing, and we're like, wait a minute.
So in the meantime, we're trying to finalize our finances, because we're like, well, if we got to pay for this, maybe we're not going to take that. Or if we got to pay X months for this, we're not. So we are still kind of in limbo in trying to figure out what our final cost is going to be. And Bill was like, you know what, Bev, we just need to lock it in.
Yeah, we're going to lock it in. Mm-hmm. We told them upgrade the kitchen. They gave us the hood, a different hood. They moved the microwave to the other side. I said it'll give it a little look, a nicer look in the kitchen. We got the 5-burner stovetop, which looks nice. And everything is KitchenAid.
Yeah, it looks
And then you open the oven door. I didn't even know that KitchenAid had blue. It's blue in the oven. The refrigerator's the 5-door, so it had a lot of nice options.
It's nice. So we end up having to pay, but it's not. I mean, if it's something that we had to do, I understand. But we were forced to do it because they keep stringing us along. We'll get an email saying, we'll do the best we can, but we can't promise. And then we'll do something to, a model that is. And we're like, what? We can't wait until they decide to figure out what they're doing to tell us. So we went ahead and we upgrade to the 8. And we're happy. We're happy with the outcome. Yeah. Because it was peace of mind at that point, because we were kind of just sitting in limbo trying to figure out.
And then we got the KitchenAid wine cooler to go with it too.
So. But we already had a wine cooler, so that was nice. So we just went with KitchenAid and we got that, which was nice.
I think that was all of the Structural. And the one thing I can say is that because of the appliance, they didn't charge us for that change request because they were like, we just couldn't. They could never settle on it.
Because
so
they're the ones
$500
that was stringing us along about change. I think we paid $500 for something, but then I think it was the change for the baseboard.
Yeah, the baseboards we changed we paid the $500.
Oh, and then they did come back and tell us that we had to pay $500 for the change. And, you know, of course, I get pen on paper again. I was like, no, we're not paying for that. You're the ones who were kind of like, wait. Now we're trying to finalize it. You can't make us pay $500. I said, call whomever you got to call to. We're going to talk to whomever you got to talk to because we're not paying a change order for this because you guys eliminated, this was a business thing that, you know, that caused you to have to change, but we shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, and they did the other thing that they did that they didn't include cost for was we got the buddy bath, the Jack and Jill bathroom up here, which means we had to get an additional bathroom in the other bedroom.
And the third
and
bedroom.
he didn't add any cost for that.
So here we are at the final minute, and then they get a phone call and says, guess what?
The price is going up.
The price got to go up because we didn't charge you to get the
bathroom and the buddy
bathroom. And I said, but their paperwork, everything in our paperwork says we're getting the buddy bath. He's like, well, we didn't charge you for it. I'm like, well, okay. You owe us some money for the brick front that's not on our paperwork. And so, you know, we can offset it. So he did a change order to make sure that we got credit for the brick front. Because remember, initially we were talking about
they didn't include
the
that
cost.
in there either.
Yeah, so they come back and they give us a credit for what
so that last change, that last change had the kitchen in it, the upgrade for the kitchen, had the upgrade for the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it had our credit for the brick front. And I think they tried to do us the $500, but we argued with them and they ended up taking that away. You know?
So that's pretty much all of the things that we have done. We really haven't gone crazy with our selection process. I think we pretty much stayed close to what we need. Like we already told you guys, we didn't go with their fancy schmancy, as Bill says, bathroom. We went for their standard bathroom.
Which I thought was interesting because both of us was like,
nah.
We like a bathroom with doors on it and shower.
The thing about the Caruso bathroom, it looks nice aesthetically. Like when you walk in, especially if you walk into that model home the first time, you're like, toilets. Wow, this is nice, and wow, you gotta have it. But as we're looking at that, I was like, babe, this is not practical. It's not practical because the bathtub sits
right in the middle of the bathroom
and divides it, I guess, his and her side, because there's a toilet on the right side, there's a toilet on the left side, there's a walk-through. Yeah, it's not practical because there's no way for you to get from one side of the bathroom to the next because, like I said, the bathtub sits right there. The only way you can do that is walking through the bathtub. There's that walk through. Nice bathroom.
It just wasn't.
Yeah, it's not. Or you got to come out of the bedroom to walk to the other side.
And it was $18,000. Which we said, let's bump the bedroom out instead of doing
So
doing
we
the bathroom.
The bump out instead of the
And our bathroom, we think our bathroom looks fine.
Oh, I like mine. The bathroom.
Yeah, I think
like
it looks
the
fine.
Selections that we've made. Then the other thing that Caruso didn't offer is that in the bathrooms, the tile did not go all the way to the ceiling.
In the model home, it all goes to the ceiling.
And again, just referencing my prior purchase with Ryan Home, it wasn't even an option. That's what they showed you. Well, I didn't even see the model home, but lo and behold, we had the ceiling tile that go, but that was an option. We had to pay to get it all the way to the top, which I thought was like real chinky. But that goes back to my argument. There just should be some certain things that Caruso offered that should be standard, especially if it's one of their signature homes. Because I think, like you guys saw in my previous video, what I think makes this home, in my opinion, aesthetically that we want is those windows in our family room,
coffer ceiling,
and the coffer ceiling, and these little bolsters on the stairs, like the stairs.
Which by the way, are an option. We were like, really?
That's an option too, to get the little circle bolster thing. That's an option. We had to pay to get that. And so it's like there was nothing the house comes with. It was just base.
Nothing that was aesthetically pleasing.
Like to say, aha, this is what you get.
And then we walked through a lot of the houses as they were being constructed. We find that most people got those. So it's like, why doesn't Caruso
just add it into the price of the
house?
And then just call that. I don't know. But all in all, I think that's good. We actually so the other thing was that on the stairs they have the rail stairs, and you had an option for that to go with iron rod rails or the white bolster. Now, when we asked them the price for the iron rod, they wanted my first child, they wanted his first child, and then they'll probably take 2 grandkids if they if they can.
It was ridiculous.
I'm like, nah, I like my kids.
It was like, for the catwalk area, it was a price. Then for the rails coming down the front, it was a price. Then the rails in the back, it was a price. By the time we finished, them bolsters would have been like $20-some thousand. We was like, that is ludicrous. We was like,
white's
no.
Nice. White's nice.
Yeah, we were like, white looks nice.
White's nice.
Now the one option that we did decide on was the crown molding in the foyer, which I think was
we did that.
Was the best. That was a good choice.
Yeah, but I knew I wanted that, the crown molding. Had to have that, and we also added 2 columns in the living room, which I think give the house a little bit more depth. We like that. So they're just little things that we chose that we decided to go with versus other things. But I don't think
tall doors was like
the tall doors was an option.
That was something that we had to have. Which didn't make sense either. I'm like, you got these tall ceilings. Why not just put tall doors in the house? Because the option was it was nominal. It was like, wasn't that expensive?
It wasn't really that much, but you can get the tall doors. We had to pay for that. And then once you're having the tall doors, you definitely, like Bill mentioned earlier in our video, that the crown molding, you definitely have to have that because the ceiling is so high.
Yeah. And then the baseboards. This is something that you have to consider if you buy this house. The baseboard, the height of the baseboard runs all up along the side of your steps, across the front of the steps.
Well, I guess it's all the way
around everything in the house.
So
and it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference.
Well, at least it makes a big difference. And I can't, to us.
It made a big difference to us. Yeah.
So we like that, and so. And I think that was the gist of it. We upgraded the countertop in our kitchen and the bathroom, not the cabinets, but the countertops in the bathroom. We've upgraded that to a level 2 or something like that, because there was just no other choice. And they're forcing you, if you really want something you like, you definitely have to go with it. Then I know people will probably be like, just get whatever the standard is and then you can upgrade, which is that's a viable argument to make. But we're like, you know what, if it's this amount, it's reasonable, let's just go with it, because then you're talking about having to rip something out, go and find somebody to do it and do it nice and aesthetically pleasing and all that stuff.
Then it has to match everything, like the butler's pantry, the butler's area, which we call the beverage area, where we just keep wine and stuff over there. But we were like, why would you want to not? I think it was $2,500 or something. We was like, look, we wanted everything on this floor done, so we didn't have to worry about stuff. You have to pay somebody
to put it in and stuff like that, and then that way it forces them to actually do it correctly.
Yeah.
I don't know because some of the homes, we were wondering why it looks different from ours in terms of the depth of it. So even if the homeowners want to go back and put
they may not even be able to do it
the way it's done.
I think even the wall,
it's not even
the wall
straight.
wasn't even square. I was like, wow.
So going back to him, we were, Bill was in here every day. I was in here about every week.
She would just watch my video.
He would come take videos for us, which is some of it what we're sharing with you about things that are going. So we were watching, and pointing out things to them as we go along. Some of them were received good, some of them were not. Bill even had a drone that we set up to the roof to see what they were doing, and there were gaps in the how they covered. I don't know what that.
Well, they actually put I guess, a temporary fix on the roof because either something happened with the shingles and then they didn't have enough shingles for the back. So that was a water. Water just came in there, drove her crazy.
So here's my thing about the water issue. And there's a video we have to do on our next, we mentioned last time that we had a water issue that really drove me crazy. Caruso, this is not the first time they're building homes, and I'm sure they've been in the business for billions of years. I'm exaggerating, right? And so they know all the pitfalls and the things that can happen or not happen in their build process. You would think they would be better prepared for preventing things. We went into some of these homes and it just looked like it was a hurricane. And this is during the construction pieces. And I know because, of course, when I come in here and I see things, I'll reach out to them. I know they're sick of us, but I said, hey, and they'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. The wood was built to absorb water. It's gonna, it's not gonna be a problem and all this stuff. And I'm like, I get it. But why expose it to that if you don't have to? When there's a hole sitting in the kitchen. So I came in here and I put a cup. I found a cup.
That was fun. And
I put it under so the water was dripping from the ceiling to catch the water. And I took a picture. I was like, you know it's going to rain during the construction process. Can you prepare, at least patch this up so you don't have water just wetting the whole place up just because the wood was built for it. Of course, they keep talking me down that the wood and it's pressurized wood and that happens in construction. But that was my pet peeve, and I don't have any. It
was the worst though. It was the worst because even when they finished the flooring in the house, they kept it covered for a certain period of time. Then we came down here, it was uncovered. And they were tracking all kind of stuff in on the floor. They even scratched the floor up. It just was unbelievable. It was
and I'm hoping we have footage to show you because the thing is, it was ridiculous. So again, going back to my initial argument, when they came and they did the floors, we were excited. They came in here, the floors were neatly sealed. They had this brown wrapping paper sealed on it. It looked amazing. About a week or two later, they didn't finish the construction. You would think they were finished. They were still doing construction in the home.
And they uncovered the floor.
And they took the paper off. And I'm like, who made the decision to do this? So we're taking pictures and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Now, yes, they're gonna send a cleaning crew. Guys, the cleaning crew
hit or miss.
They come through and they just. So now you're looking at the floor and you can see the smear marks where they smear it. And I'm like, why couldn't they just leave the thing covered? All the appliances were still wrapped and covered. They unwrapped it all. And the construction workers all over.
They were putting stuff in the refrigerator. They had an old banana in the refrigerator. Just sitting there rotten. Yeah. And they were using the stuff. And I'm like, the countertop had that plastic stuff on there. They took the plastic off. I go in there, there's metal stuff sitting there. And I took pictures and I showed it to the construction manager. They had to replace the sink because they scratched the sink up. They were using the sink to rinse off paint brushes and stuff. And I'm like, and pieces of drywall and stuff in the hole. One of the things that we didn't get was the garbage disposal. Because they don't do them. They said they're not supposed to go when you have septic. Septic. Yeah, even though you can get them. They just supposed to grind more or something. I don't know what you're supposed to get, but we didn't get But when you go to the sink, there are pieces of drywall or whatever, that potty thing, just sitting in the hole, just in the sink. And I was like, this right there was unacceptable. There was putty. They took the plastic wrap off of the fridge. There was pieces of putty just stuck to the refrigerator. I don't know if it was on purpose or by accident, maybe falling when they were plastering or whatever. But I'm like, who made the decision to remove all the plastic wrap and all of the paper off the floor? And so, and it got to the point where we actually one night we came down. We actually stopped at Home Depot, got dustpans and brooms. we were gonna come in and just sweep the floor.
We got all our cleaning
And look,
stuff.
when we came down, the door was locked and we couldn't get in that
Right,
night.
they had locked the door. I guess
Yeah.
they're tired of us complaining. They started locking the door because every time we come, we'll take pictures and we'll send it to them. Because the thing is, when you call and you tell them this is what's going on, they make you seem like you're just an overzealous customer or something like that. But you know, pictures speak 1,000 words.
And my thought is this: look, if it's scratched before you go to closing, it's gonna still be scratched after closing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have stains on your floor before closing, when you get out of closing and come back in here, those stains are gonna be in the floor. And some of the stains, they don't get all the way out. Mm-hmm. One time they had some oil or something that was on the floor. We were like, how are they gonna get this out? Ultimately, they kind of got that up, but we still had to come in here and clean up some of the little stains.
And some of the stain we decided we're gonna live with because, and scratches we're gonna live with because we felt like
they were going to be more damaged to fix.
Try to replace it. So we're like, you know what, we're gonna leave it alone. The same thing with the butler pantry cabinet. It was broken. But so they had to come in order to change it. They had to change the whole cabinet. We're like, you know what? We'll live with it. Just send us a new drawer, a new shelf. We'll live with it and stuff like. So some things we made concession on and be like, you know, we'll live with it.
It just wasn't worth them coming in and tearing stuff up, and then we got another complaint.
Right.
Or stuff to add to the list. Mm-hmm. Another big thing that they pointed out too with the drywall dust in your units, your air, your HVAC stuff, they put a real cheap filter so it doesn't catch all of the dust that's being collected in the house as they're going through that process.
Well, not even that, because they uncovered under the filter while they were still doing drywall and stuff. So when we had our inspector come through, one of the things that he found that it was very dusty in all the vents. Everything was like
they had to clean the units.
They came and they cleaned it.
Look, we don't know if they did a good job or not.
They said they did, but
they took a vacuum in there and everything, and some rags and buckets.
I'm like, that's not how I know that they clean it, because I have my vent clean. These people come with constructions and they plug it in and it run all the way outside. I don't see none of that. But we never did go back to check. They said it was fixed, so we're holding it to the word.
Like, look, we're gonna change all the air filters and everything. And
but it goes back to why uncover this stuff? Why leave it open if you're not gonna try to protect the unit? With all this drywall dust and stuff. So now we are left with it, and they're gone, and so we're left with dealing with that.
I guess
that's pretty much.
That might be it.
Where we're going. So we've had, like we said, some highs and lows in terms of arguing, and I think that was our biggest pet peeve, is because the back and forth with them, how they make us feel in terms of that whole build process. To make them feel like we were begging them for stuff instead of trying to understand where we're coming from. That was a little, disheartening for Caruso Home. But all in all, I think it came together. It came together very nicely. So
they actually built a good house. It's just that to get to there and not feel like you were taken advantage of.
It takes a lot out of you.
It takes a lot out of you, and it kind of can kill the fun of the process. Because you're thinking you're making a major investment. And I mean, these houses aren't cheap by no measure. So you're thinking that at the price point, that the service, the customer service, and even if they say no, it doesn't have to be condescending. It doesn't. They don't have to make you feel like you're asking for a handout, because all these people in this neighborhood are paid a lot to live in this neighborhood, so there's no handouts being given. So you shouldn't make people feel like they're begging for something when they ask a question.
Well, we're just saying it's just a question and a concession of your build process, and you got to recite what is your policy and tell us what your philosophy is. Like, listen, lady, you were taking something away. We asked you to raise. So the way the desk in the kitchen is like this, and then it dropped down because of the desk, and we're like, just make it one. We pay $700 for that. We said, hey, since we're eliminating the closet, but we're inserting a knee wall, can we, ask an offset for that? And you had to go in to explain your philosophy and what kind of builder you are and that kind of thing. I was like, ugh, customer service at its best here. But I think, I can't say, so Bill was more into the structural part, and I think he's very happy with the build of the home. I think in terms of the structure and how the home is built, I think I hear him say all the time,
it's a solid house. Because I was all into what's going on behind the walls and everything.
I could care less, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm like, what my eyes can see, I'm aesthetically, look, that's not done, that's not done, this is crooked, why is this like that? That's me. So I think we kind of build off of each other and kind of keep them busy.
Yeah, I had drawings out. I had the drawings out.
We had magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Where we
walking, making sure the property line, trying to understand what we're trying to read everything so that we can understand everything and understand where our property lines are and everything. We, you know, all of those things, and then how the house is going to sit, making sure stuff match drawings and all of that, and making sure that the grading is right and all those kind of things.
So we don't want to discourage you from this whole buying process, because I think it's really an exciting process. It really has good things about it, and even though we're sitting here and our experiences wasn't the best, I think within that, I think it was really good to see progress on the home. It was really good to seeing it come together. So when you get over some of your frustration, I think the outcome is really good.
I think the only other thing that we'll probably pick up, because we didn't realize this would take as much time, is so the next time out the gate, I think we'll talk about the financing part.
Yeah, our experience with that. So maybe we'll just do a second video, not to increase this one long.
And I thought, I tell you what, when we publish this video, if you guys wanted us to do a live with that, if you guys respond in the feed saying you would like us to do a live, maybe we'll just come on live and just talk and answer questions and stuff based on our experience and share with you our thoughts on the financing process. And the caveat to that is, and I'm not going to go off too far, but I'm just going to say this: they know everything about your financial situation. They know what you have, don't have. And somebody with that information, just think about them trying to leverage to their benefit to get as much out of you financially as they can.
Well, what he's actually saying is that what I felt, so my thought process on what Bill was saying is that in our experience with this particular process is that our finance company that we were using, which is the one recommended by Caruso in order to get their incentive, it made us feel like we that they weren't working on our behalf, that they were working for Caruso.
And they had their own interests at heart and not our interests as a customer.
So it came off like that. Yeah. It's like, so we understand that they have a relationship with Caruso, and that in order to get certain incentive, I think this time Caruso was offering like $10,000.
Guess what? It was, and I'm not saying this because we're hard or anything, but when you look at all the numbers, it was just $10,000.
Right. So Caruso was giving you $10,000 to use the finance company that, and all builders do that, and so that was fine. But in our interaction, it felt like they were working for Caruso and they weren't we weren't their clients, and again making it feel like they're doing us a favor. So we'll share that in another video, but
and that's just a little precursor.
That's just our feeling in terms of you know, how the process went, and we'll tell you about that.
So we hope this was helpful. We hope that it opens some understanding, and maybe if you have questions, you can look down, just drop them in the feed, shoot us an email, and we'll do our best to try to share in our experience and our opinion. I mean, by no means are we experts in this.
Exactly.
And we're just sharing our experience. And I know some people may have had a completely different experience, you know. But we pray that this was a blessing to you guys, and that it opens some insight and understanding. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and we'll see you guys the next time out. Stay blessed, and stay excited about the things that God are doing in your life, and especially if you're buying a new home. It's definitely something to be excited about.
Absolutely.
Holla at you.